Does that work?
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Give it to the brother. Give it to him.
Effort.
So James propitiously took my shine from asking Rick, what the timing parameters are. But no, okay. So this Saturday I will be performing open mic poetry. Thus, this table topic session will come in the form of a beautiful story. Oh. So here we go. There once was a 5-year-old boy whose name was Convenience. He was strong and mighty and had great resilience. When he was only 15, he fought a battle so strong, but he won the fight and weathered the storm. Now I'll interact with the crowd. Crispin, tell me about a time that you made someone proud.
Well, this is a wonderful, propitious opportunity to talk about a time when I made somebody proud. Let's see. You threw me off. That was pretty smooth. I believe the time that let's see. I used to break dance. I'm kind of old now, have bad knees. But I used to break dance at Georgia Tech, and we would have these breakdancing sessions, and we learned from this crew called Burn Unit. It's a professional breakdancing crew in Atlanta. And one night, it was funny, earlier in the day I had been practicing, been working out all day, so I had 2 sessions. And then we had been breaking in the spot we break in, which is like a venue at Georgia Tech called Under the Couch. And it was under the basement of the music building, and we had been breaking from 8 p.m. to like 12 a.m. and we were about to leave. And Burn Unit comes walking in the studio, and they're like, hey, let's battle. We're like, what? It's like 12 a.m. So we battled from 12 to 4 a.m. And yeah, it was so cool. And the DJ for their unit, he essentially played all these kind of hits and stuff, and I really was exhausted. But I had some kind of energy. I did a couple windmills, whatever. And the totem, he's really crazy. He's the head of Burn Unit. He was basically like, hey, I'm so proud that, you know, you held it down. You represented for Southwest Atlanta, the SWATs, if you don't know what that is. But that was the time that I guess I made him proud, and it was something that I exuded some. It was a propitious thing. Yeah.
When he was 25, and time was sure to soon run out, he smiled in the face of fear and let out a huge shout. He looked from the bed as he was newly remissed and asked Mary Jane to please share with him your favorite television show as a kid that gave you pure bliss.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Table Topics Master. I was ready to tell you about my favorite television show as of late, which if you guys are big Game of Thrones fans, you know what I'm talking about.
What's that?
What is that? Well, let me tell you. I grew up in Poland. But you asked me about my favorite television show as a kid that brought me bliss, and a couple cartoons came to mind. I don't know if you guys remember the gummy bears. They would drink this potion and bounce on their butts through the forest. Quality television. That happened. But then I thought about the Power Rangers. And I know they remade it, but there was this one character who happened to look a lot like me, and she was the Yellow Ranger. She was Asian. And I think that's when I learned about dinosaurs and what a pterodactyl was. But there was something about that show that I really enjoyed because, you know, as a kid, you see these normal, average people doing extraordinary things and then transform into dinosaurs and save the world. Which reminds me of Captain America. Martin,
that's a good show.
Have you heard of Captain America? Oh, you have? They played that in Poland? Okay.
Do you mean Captain Planet?
No.
I do.
Yes, I am planning. I was just
planet. Our hero, who's gonna take pollution
From America.
from Captain America. What else do I like? I actually really needed this question and a good laugh today, so I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Now he's 35 and living happily and reasonably. Aaron, tell us about a time you were out with some friends and left your wallet conveniently.
This is actually a propitious question because I left my wallet somewhere over the weekend. However, I'll tell about a story that's funnier than that. I remember. I was the first one of my friends to get a good job. And I thought I was the man. I just knew that my first check was going to be cha-ching, cha-ching. I was thousands and thousands of dollars. And then I went out. And I played it the right way because I thought I was going to have enough cushion to get the money and everything, but it didn't quite happen that way. And what I found myself doing is that on Thursday, you go out, you pregame, you try to bar hop before it gets crazy. Then the money is a little funny. And it doesn't quite work that way. And what I ended up having to do, I said, well, maybe if I can get this bill, I can front this bill after midnight. So I had to stay here until 12 a.m. when that direct deposit comes in. Y'all go here, I'm really feeling this vibe. This vibe is so propitious to my bank account, the checking and the saving and the way my checking is set up. No. And that is actually what I had to do. I made it work. It was smooth. I was smooth through. But that means you actually have to buy drinks until 12. And that kind of negated the whole savings until midnight thing. So at that point, you have to do what all good men do. You grab the water. You put a lime in it. So everybody is tequila.
I knew Aaron would say something funny. So that leads into my next one.
Questions for me.
That story made him laugh, and he still remembers it well, even though he's now 45. Brian, tell us about the time you robbed that convenience store as a kid, then used the money in church to pay your tithes.
When I was 45,
Well, he's 45.
I'm 45. I'm telling a story about when I was a kid, dressed as the Yellow Ranger, on my way to Pilates, which was my favorite thing ever at the time. But I didn't have any money. And I needed to go to the convenience store to get my drink before heading into the class. And I was a little hungry for food, and I couldn't get anything. So I went to this convenience store, and the guy showed me the cash register, and I said, "Can I have it?" And he said yes. And he felt threatened because I was in my Yellow Ranger costume. So he handed me all of the money, and then I left. And then I went to the church where my Pilates class was. And they happened to have half-cut In-N-Out burgers.
All right, so now the character in our poem is 55 years old and he never felt better. Gloria, tell us about a time you traveled and inconveniently packed the wrong clothes for the weather.
boy, oh boy. Well, I was supposed to go to Tahiti. All I brought was my bikinis. Honeymoon, ready to party. And we got so drunk at the airport that we got on the wrong plane. And we did not make it to Tahiti. We made it to Greenland, which is not like it sounds. Greenland, Iceland, they swapped it out. It's really cold. It's like the Arctic. And we walked off the plane in flip-flops, tank tops, and my husband lost a couple toes, but thankfully there are gift shops, and we got the little fur hats and some coats and successfully made it through, but this was also all a ruse. It was not true. Not true.
How did you get on the airplane? No one checked them.
So we got on, got in, and just drank some hot cocoa and made do.
It's the sea otter.
I thought you were about to say you got him some toes from the gift shop. All right. At 65, his memory began to fade. He completely forgot his childhood battle that almost put him in his grave. He turned to Martin and said, "Hi, can you please tell me about when you inconveniently forgot crucial information at a very important time?"
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. That's quite an interesting question for someone coming up to do a table topic and having to talk about their life. That you would inconveniently forget something relating to what I'm supposed to talk about. But, because I kept thinking about the previous scenario of getting the wrong clothes for the occasion, and I guess it would kind of fit into the scenario too, so I'll tell you about that. It also had to deal with something that was particularly cold, and it was actually hiking up to Mount Baldy. A couple of years ago, a group of friends and I decided to get up to the peak, and it was about May, like early May, so we all figured, you know, it's summer, it's warm, we're going to be fine. So we brought, everybody was just basically wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and we brought like a light jacket, you know, just in case, because the temperature down in the valley was like in the 90s, and we kind of looked at the weather, and it was like, oh, it's going to be like 70, 80, we'll be fine. And so we start making it up this this path. We got there early in the morning, around at like 8. It's actually pretty warm down at the bottom, so we're walking around and we're starting to sweat and, you know, getting warm. And I'm actually thinking to myself, man, I wish I could take some more layers off because I'm getting more and more sweaty. And then about midway through, we stop, we rest for a little bit, and I feel this little chilly breeze. And my first thought is, oh, this is kind of nice. After about 10 minutes, I'm like, all right, we got to get back on the road because I'm getting cold. 3/4 of the way up, we start seeing that some of the trees have little bits of frost on them. And it turned out that there was this weird weather event where at the very top it was actually physically snowing. So I do have a picture of myself in this light jacket and another light jacket that I borrowed from someone else with one of the other people in our group who decided to actually try to get to the top because we had to basically run up the last like 20 minutes because it was way too freezing. So we ran up, took a picture, and ran back down. And that was probably one of the more crazy trips that I've ever had. So check the weather.
Now he's 75 and everything is unfamiliar. The birds, the trees, the sun, they all look peculiar. Mr. Toastmaster, I want you to share with me a time you walked out of your car, closed the door, and said, "Damn it, I forgot my key."
That last time, one more time.
A time you walked out of your car, closed the door, and said, "Damn it, I forgot my key."
Okay, that would never happen to me. But when I was moving from my apartment, it was around 8 p.m. I walked out of my apartment's door, my old apartment's door, and I locked the key inside. Now, at my old apartment complex, they were very stingy. You would call security,
even though they had all the keys, they wouldn't open it for you. Because you would have to pay $75 to get your door open. So, you know, I've seen a couple movies, so I'm trying to use my credit card. People are walking past me. Oh, does this guy really live here?
Yeah.
Calling security to come down. So security finally comes down. And I'm in a negotiation process. I eventually had to call this maintenance guy. He's at home. He said he's eating pizza and had to come in 5 to 10 minutes. So he finally comes. He left his keys at home. So he had to go back home. But eventually came back and unlocked the door for me.
And that wraps it up. Now he's 85, and before he closed his eyes for the final time, conveniently he remembered his childhood and out came a smile. He thought to himself with eternal peace, I'm very thankful to die from old age, and that cancer never beat me.
That's right.